So my name's Monica. I'm the founder of Star Quality Hospitality Consultancy. So I work with independent hotels and restaurants to help them to improve their profitability. I also write for Hotel Industry magazine as their industry expert. The way I help the owner managers that I work with is very much through the book that I wrote, Star Quality Hospitality, the key to a successful hospitality business. And what we're going to do today is we're going to go through and do a bit of a whistle-stop tour of the book, really looking at the main model within the book, and I'm going to explain how that model works. But hospitality is the fourth largest industry currently in the UK. Predominantly made up of hotels, restaurants and pubs, and they make up 58% of the hospitality sector. Within that, the industry is predominantly made up of small businesses, and 45% of those businesses are owner-operators of guest houses and bed and breakfasts. Can anyone tell me why I put a picture of a pineapple up on this slide? Okay, pineapple is actually the symbol of hospitality. So way back in the times of, I think it was Christopher Columbus, when people would travel by sea, if they'd been away, when they come back to their home islands, what they used to do is they'd actually put a pineapple on the village sort of gate, as it were, to welcome people back to their homes. And then if people were staying, visitors staying, they'd serve pineapple as a treat, because in those times pineapple was an exotic fruit. Well, it still is quite exotic, but it obviously wasn't as readily available. And in some of the houses you'd actually see on things like the bedposts, they'd be carved into pineapple shapes and stuff like that. So it basically became the symbol of hospitality. Okay. So what I want you to imagine, just for today's session, is that you are an owner manager of an independent hotel. So what made you decide that you wanted to run your own hotel business, first of all? What experience have you got working in the hospitality industry? What makes your business successful? And what are the signs that your business might be failing? So I want you to just discuss it in twos or threes, wherever you're sitting. These 4 questions are typical questions that I'll ask an owner manager when I go to work with them. And these are the typical answers that I get from them. So the most common answers, I had some spare money, so I decided to invest in a hotel or a guest house or a pub, whatever it was. Yeah, that's why they decided to go into the hotel business. I've never worked in hospitality. Majority of owner managers of small independent hotels, restaurants and pubs have no hospitality experience. I can hire people who've worked in the industry. So they're not worried, they don't have any industry experience. They think, I'll just bring someone else in and they can do it for me. My business is successful when I have people staying. And I don't understand why I'm not making a profit. So what we're going to look at this afternoon then is the main model that I based my book around, and as I said, this is what I use with the owner managers when I go to help them out. So it's in the shape of a key, so it's quite easy for them to remember the concept of it. So the head of the key, if you like, is the actual hospitality business. So looking at what is that business that they're running. Why don't they know what business they're running?
Is it because it's not simple? There's like loads of different aspects.
Okay, that's partly it. What else?
They haven't researched into it properly, they don't
Okay.
have a full understanding of it.
Yep, so they haven't researched it, don't have a full understanding. What else? Okay, what's the difference between a hotel, a bed and breakfast, a guest house, for example?
The purpose.
So might do service levels, so what did you say?
Like the purpose for the.
The purpose, good, nice. So why is that? building there, if you like. What else?
Style.
Style.
There's set criteria, isn't there? I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
though,
What else?
Size.
Size.
Customer expectation.
Customer expectations. Yeah. So there's lots of different mixes that come into it. Yeah. And a lot of people don't actually realise it was subtle. Some of them are quite subtle. But the difference between it, but that difference is going to make a big impact on who they're attracting. Yeah. Some of them don't know who their customer base are. They just think, oh, someone's staying because they need to rest their head. They need a room for the night. They need something to eat. That's why they're staying here. What's going to affect the fact that you might not get customers coming?
So if you don't know your customers,
Yeah.
the type of customers, so depending on location or where you're based will depend on the type of customers that you have.
Okay.
Reviews. What people are saying about your business.
The reviews, yeah, what people say about your business. So think about reviews and what do people highlight about a business if they weren't happy, for example.
Service.
Service, okay. So if service is going wrong, what's going on in your business?
Hospitality.
The staff.
Okay, it might be the staff,
Thing like
The
Okay.
product,
could be the product. What else could it be?
Training.
Management.
Might be the management, like staff.
So training if the service isn't up to
Okay, let's
scratch.
look at training. So with regards to training, what are people being trained on? Break it right down.
their job and their role and not really much else.
Okay. In order to do their job and their role, what has to be in place?
Set procedures.
Okay, procedures. Yeah.
SOPs.
When a hospitality business isn't doing very well, when do people start complaining about it, customers start complaining? At the end of the day, the reason they complain is because there's a flaw in the procedure somewhere. Yeah? If they didn't get their meal on time, or it was the wrong order, for example, very easy mistakes, but it basically means there's something wrong with the system. Yeah? If you had a flawless procedure that everyone was trained up on, they all knew the standards, then you wouldn't be giving wrong orders and you wouldn't have food coming out late, or you wouldn't be running out of stock, for example. Yeah? It comes down to the internal procedures. So we said at the very beginning that a lot of the owner managers don't really understand hospitality business. If you don't understand your hospitality business, you're not going to understand the intricate details of how to put systems and procedures to get a flawless service. Does that make sense? Yeah? So when we look at the hospitality business, there's two key things that owner managers don't realise. One, what is their business? And two, actually, what are the systems and procedures I should be using? And that's why they're getting it wrong. So they come in and think, oh, well, just, it's a hotel, you just open up, people come and stay. Yeah, or it's a restaurant, you just give them food and drink and they're happy. I don't really know how to do it, I just get someone else to do it for me. But that person they bring in, if they're not the right person, and they don't really know all the systems, procedures and how to put them together properly, and that's when you're going to start getting your complaints. Okay, so that's really about the business and looking at the procedures that happen within it. And then, but in order for this business to work, you've got to have your customers. Now, what tends to happen with your customers is that a lot of companies think, oh, okay, my customer is a guest. So I'm going to focus all my attention on the guest. So they come in, I'm going to look after them, they pay them money, etc. What they're missing out on are two crucial things. One is the relationship with their suppliers, and two is the relationship they have with their staff. Why are these two elements just as important as the guest?
Because without them you can't supply the guests with what they need.
Yeah, absolutely. Think about your costs. Why is your supplier choice important?
So you don't spend too much. You can get more value for your money.
Absolutely. Keep your costs low, as long as the quality is still there. You mustn't compromise on your quality, but if you keep your costs low by being very selective in which suppliers you use, then your profit margins are going to go up. Yeah. And again, that's another key area that a lot of companies don't realise. Yeah. A lot of independent hotels don't actually understand about costs and margins. They just pluck a figure out of the air. Say, oh, I think I'll just charge this out for the room, or I'll just charge this for the food. They haven't actually worked out how much it's actually costing me to buy that food in. How much is it costing me to clean the room, for example, yeah? What about your staff? Why are they an important element?
Without them, you won't get any guests.
Okay.
So there's
So without them you won't get any guests, but also with them you might not get any guests as well.
if they're not trained like properly, then they're not going to deliver like the best experience. They're not going to move through the wrong.
Absolutely. Your staff basically run the business. So if you don't look after them, they won't look after your customers. Yeah. So they're very key on, you need to look after them, and we'll look at how you do that later. And then obviously you've got your guests, which we'll talk about more later on as well. So what we're going to do then is we're going to look at the business of hospitality first of all. And this is what I just want you to answer. Again, just in your 2s and 3s, you can pick out the answers to this. Why do people stay in hotels and eat in restaurants, first of all? And then, what business are you actually operating? And I want you to describe that in less than 7 words. Okay. So first we'll just discuss why do people stay in hotels and restaurants. Just do that one together. What's the point of staying in a hotel or a restaurant?
To get away
Away
from
from
home.
home.
To get away from home? Yeah.
And to relax.
Might be to relax,
Maybe,
if you're on holiday.
maybe on business or something like
Yeah, you might be on business.
Leisure.
Could be there for leisure. Yeah.
Celebration.
It could be a celebration. Yeah. What's the basic reason of why people stay in hotels and eat in restaurants?
Change.
It might be for a change.
Disposable income.
Convenience. Sorry?
Disposable income.
They've got disposable income.
To sleep and eat.
Right, to sleep and eat. At the end of the day, the only reason someone's going to stay in a hotel and someone's going to eat in a restaurant is because they need somewhere to sleep and they're hungry and need somewhere to go and eat food. Yeah? They're the 2 primary reasons of why they will go. And then it's all dressed up with, well, we want to go on holiday and we'll relax and maybe we'll go for a bit of leisure or it's a business event, it's a birthday, and then they dress up a bit more. Yeah? But the basic need of why people come into a hotel or restaurant is because they need to eat, because they need to sleep or they're hungry. Thinking about your hotel business, what business are you actually operating? Remember when we talked earlier about hotel, guest house, bed and breakfast sort of scenario? How would you describe it in less than 7 words? So in your 2s and 3s, how would you describe it? Okay, let's just have a few of these. So in less than 7 words, how would you describe the business? By describing your business in less than 7 words, what you're beginning to formulate is what's called a vision for your business. Okay, so it's a very quick way of doing it. You'd like to spend a lot more time doing this properly, but just to give you a quick idea of how it could evolve. Because the most common reasons why hotels fail is the owner doesn't have a clear identity of what their business is that they're running. The hotel doesn't have a clear vision, mission or values. This is therefore not installed in everything the organisation does, and this will then affect the culture of the company. So an example of a vision statement might be something like to be the #1 5-star luxury hotel in the county. Okay? So you had similar ones about being a traditional country house, 4-star hotel, and what have you. So obviously you could work on that and refine that a little bit more. Why is it important that the hotel owner has a vision for their hotel?
So they have a direction to go in.
Yeah, they have a direction to go into. They need to know what the hotel stands for. Yeah. So if you're going to be the #1 5-star luxury hotel in the county, or going to be the traditional country house hotel 4-star service, that's what you are. Yeah. And then around that you can work out who your customers are going to be, who you want to attract, what your pricing strategy is going to be. So from your vision, you will then put together your mission statement. So your mission statement is a concise statement of business strategy, which is put together from your customer's perspective, and it fits with the vision of your business. So it should answer 3 questions. What do you do? So how will you fulfill the psychological needs of your customers? How do you do this? So how your physical products and services will fulfill your customers' needs. Who you do it for, so you identify who your customers are. So when you create your mission statement, you take into account the above and the vision that you've just put together. Okay. So an example of a mission statement for the vision that I just had up earlier could be to provide outstanding accommodation and dining facilities for our guests. Our hotel welcomes both business and leisure guests, and we specialise in corporate events and weddings. We pride ourselves on our high quality standards and continue to delight our customers in everything we do. So the vision statement is a lot longer. It goes into a lot more detail explaining basically what your vision is about. And again, when you write out your mission statement, you need to take into account the 3 questions that we've looked at here. Ideally, when you're putting together a vision and a mission for your organisation, you'd be doing this with your key management team and with your staff members as well if you're a new hotel. Why do they have to be involved in that process? Why doesn't it just come from the owner? Yeah.
There's no point just one person knowing what you want and what the hotel's supposed to stand for. Everyone needs to know and understand the vision so that you can actually get there.
Absolutely. Also, if you involve other people, particularly your staff and management, in putting together the vision and the mission, they're going to buy into it more. They'll have more belief in it. Yeah? So if they don't believe in what you're trying to create, they're not going to be with you. Yeah. Now, with your mission statement, it's not just a statement, it actually has to be actioned. So what you do is you actually put them into goals. So you can break down your mission statement into goals. So I've literally just broken it down into 3 sections. So the first part was to provide outstanding accommodation and dining facilities for our guests. So the sample goal around that could be to maintain a 5-star status or to gain 1 Michelin star in the restaurant, or both. Our hotel welcomes both business and leisure guests, and we specialise in corporate events and weddings. So again, the sample goal could be to cater for 1 wedding a week, to increase corporate bookings by 10%. And then the last part was we pride ourselves on our high quality standards and continue to delight our customers in everything we do. So the sample goal for that would be to increase repeat guest business by 10%, to reduce staff turnover by 20%. What do you notice about the goals here?
They're all measurable,
They're measurable.
quite easily.
Yeah, exactly. So they're written in that SMART format. I'm sure you must have heard of SMART goals, SMART objectives. Yeah, what does SMART stand for?
Specific, measurable, achievable.
Specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. Yeah. So those goals are all specific to what's going to happen in relation to the vision, the mission statements. Okay. So what you'd normally do then at this point is you write out your mission and you formulate some goals against that. Okay. After you've done that, you then identify your company values. So company values 3 to 5 key areas that the business owner feels is important and feels should be represented in their business. Okay. Once they've been identified, it's important that whoever you employ also has those same values, so they can still have the same belief you have. So the example company values for my imaginary hotel would be product, people, and profit. So what that means is, we said in the vision they're a 5-star hotel, so this needs to relate in the quality of their products, it needs to relate in the service that the people or the staff give, and then obviously both of those will then impact, hopefully positively, on the profit of that hotel. Yeah? You see how that works? You had to put 3 to 5 company values, what do you think they would be? Discussing your 2s and 3s and see what you come up with. Okay, you've got quite a few different words up there. So what you need to do, you need to refine this and just choose 3 to 5. Why do you think I've said 3 to 5?
It's better off doing one thing rather than lots of things for it.
Yeah. If you have too many, people aren't going to remember them anyway. And with your values, it needs to be incorporated in everything that you do in the business. So whichever one of these values, words that you're going to be using, as a company value, you need to make sure it can be demonstrated in everything you do in the business. So what that means is from literally the products that you have, the service that you deliver, the people that you employ, the suppliers you choose, anything and everything to do with your business has to be centred around whatever your values that you've selected. Okay. Because what happens is once you've got your company values, you can then start to build a culture. So once you're clear on your vision, your mission, and the values, that's when you start to build your company culture. Without knowing your values, you're not going to be able to demonstrate this in everything you do. Yeah. So, for example, if we looked at consistency as one of the values, if it wasn't known that consistency is a value, consistency is not going to happen. Yeah. Does that make sense? Yeah. And consistency should be happening through everything. So, from the way you decorate the bedrooms, for example. Yeah. From the procedures you have, the way you train your staff, the way you employ your staff, the way you look after your staff, how you reward and recognise them, for example. Yeah. The service that you give to your customers. Yeah, so anything and everything should have a consistency element running through that.
Do you have to have a certain amount of values up in your values you want?
No, 3 to 5. Because you have too many, one, people forget them, and two, you can't demonstrate. You won't be able to demonstrate them all. Yeah. So 3 to 5 is normally the amount that companies would be using. So, for example, with the values that we had for the imaginary hotel, this 5-star luxury hotel, they said the product, if you're looking after the product as one of your values, anything from your interior design, quality of your furnishings, food choice, it's all going to be looking at the product element. The people elements, this would be anything from recruiting customer-focused staff, through to also looking at your customer base, because they're people as well, yeah? And then profit, looking at the demographics of your customers that are attracted by the facilities that you're providing for them. And then the final thing you'd be looking at for this is matching your star ratings to your products and services. So here what we'd do is we'd do an exercise, we'd actually think about the physical structure of your establishment and how this is going to be utilised to meet your guests' needs through the products you can offer them. So, for example, if you think about one of your bedrooms, with the bedrooms that you have, let's have a look at this hotel. How many bedrooms have you got? 40. That's the easy bit. 40 bedrooms. What's the breakdown of your bedrooms? How many singles, doubles, twins, deluxe, family? What products have you got from within this that's going to meet your different guest needs? So, for example, if you have a leisure guest, if you have a business guest, which rooms could they use? Yeah.
The business is standard for the next.
Yeah. What you want to have is flexibility in all of your rooms, so it doesn't really matter if they're business or leisure or whoever, they could stay in whichever room they wanted to stay in. Another way to look at it could be your conference facilities. Yeah. How many rooms have you got conference facility wise? How are they broken down? What's the different setups you could have within that? Yeah. Are they flexible enough? Are they only for business meetings, or could it be for could it be set up for a wedding, for example? Yeah. Those sorts of things. What's your configuration? Can you make them bigger? Can you make them smaller? Etc. Etc. The more flexibility you have, the better you can serve your customers, particularly looking at your products element. The other thing you need to think about is your service element. Yeah. So when you're servicing these bedrooms, for example, what sort of service are you doing? So you called yourselves a 4-star hotel, so you've got to make sure that you're giving a 4-star service. Yeah. So that's going to be the way the bedrooms are cleaned, through to the interaction you have with your guests. Yeah. How they. Sorry.
The amenities?
Yeah, through to the amenities as well that you have in those rooms, absolutely. So anything and everything is going to link to the service as well. If you get your product right, you get your service right, that's when you're going to create an experience for the guest. your guest isn't necessarily going to remember your product, or they're not necessarily just going to remember your service. What they will remember is the experience they have. Yeah? If you can create experiences for your guests, that's when they're going to come back again. Yeah? If you just have one without the other, they may or may not come back. You want to guarantee that they come back. If your guests have a very good experience, they're going to talk about it. Yeah? So on TripAdvisor or wherever, whether they review or they just talk to their friends. If it's a memorable experience they've had for the right reasons, they will talk about it. When people talk, then they recommend, etc., etc. Yeah? So again, what tends to happen is a lot of hotels either focus just on the product, or they focus just on the service element, but they don't put the two together. Yeah? So just because you may not have a 5-star rating, it doesn't mean you could not deliver 5-star service. Yeah? So a lot of people are kind of boxed into, I'm a 3-star hotel, I'm a 4-star hotel, I'm a 5-star hotel. And the only reason they've got that category, if you like, is to do with the physical structure of the building. Yeah? So if they physically can't have a lift, or they haven't got a swimming pool, for example, then yeah, the star rating will differ. But at the end of the day, really, what you need to be thinking about is the service you're delivering. Doesn't matter if you're working in a 3, 4, or 5-star hotel, you can always deliver a 5-star service. Yeah? And that's one of the key things you need to think about. So, what we've looked at in a nutshell then is just the hospitality business element.